The 2024 season for the Toronto Blue Jays was one of the most disappointing ones in recent memory. Seemingly everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and pretty much everyone on the squad underachieved, except Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s season in 2024 was a special one because it reminded us just how dominant he can be at the MLB level, and he truly was one of the few bright spots on an otherwise very disappointing season. Now, common sense would suggest that this is the type of player that the Toronto Blue Jays try to hold on to for as long as possible and build their team around, but common sense doesn't always prevail. As the offseason ticks on, serious questions are starting to arise in regards to the future of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this one, we're going to be talking about some of the recent discussions surrounding Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and what it might mean for Toronto moving forward. Before we get into it, I encourage you guys to hit the like and smash the subscribe button if you enjoy Blue Jays content and discussion so you don't miss any future videos. Alright, folks, let's get into it. So let's first start off by talking about what Ben Nicholson-Smith recently had to say about Vladdy on the JD Bunkus podcast. Ben went onto the show and said, "I think it's gone from, hey, are the Blue Jays going to choose to extend Vladdy, to is Vladdy going to choose the Jays?" Now, I want to talk about that for a second because that is really important. A lot of people, when they talk about a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension, will say stuff like, well, why hasn't the management already locked him up? Or just sign him already, like, let's get the deal done. And while those are valid comments, they're putting the onus inherently on the management, and the reality of the situation is it's not just on them. The reality is that there are two sides to this deal, and just as much as the management needs to be on board and willing to get this deal done, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. also needs to be on board and also needs to be willing to get this deal done. What Ben is suggesting there is that it might not be as much of a given that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will just want to outright stay with Toronto as some people initially thought. And I get it, because at the end of the day, we are still talking about a team that won 74 games last year and doesn't really have a strong direction that they're going in right now. So if a main goal for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is to win a World Series one day, then it's only natural that he's going to start to think about some other options. Sports Illustrated writes about this, where they say, on one hand, Guerrero Jr. could look at the roster as an open canvas. There's a bunch of roster spots coming open in the next 1 to 2 years and a bunch of money coming off the books. The team will have flexibility to make exciting things happen around him. However, with that flexibility comes a lot of uncertainty. Guerrero Jr. might not like the idea of not knowing who his teammates will be in the coming years. And that piece right there only looks at the team makeup of the Toronto Blue Jays and doesn't even discuss the biggest elephant in the room: the money. Vladdy is set to be a free agent next year, and considering he will be 26 years old, the same age as Juan Soto, he is set to cash in big if he hits the open market. Keegan Matheson recently wrote about this, saying, "Guerrero is neither of the men mentioned above," referencing Ohtani and Soto, "but he'll be hitting free agency at 26, still with both feet planted in his prime. Unless the Blue Jays are offering him the world, Guerrero has every reason to play this out and open up an incredible bidding war this time next year. It's a dangerous, dangerous game for Toronto to play." And this conversation is only further exacerbated by the recent reports coming out surrounding Juan Soto.
Whoa, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below to join the action. Only available in Ontario. Must be 19 years of older to participate. Please play responsibly. Now, everyone, back to the content.
It was just revealed that the Toronto Blue Jays are expected to be the highest bidder for Juan Soto this offseason, which is great to hear, but what does that mean for Guerrero? Well, Ken Rosenthal recently spoke about two different pathways for the Jays this offseason, saying re-signing Teoscar Hernandez could be a major step toward the Jays retaining Vladimir Guerrero Jr., with whom Hernandez is very close. Signing Soto, on the other hand, almost certainly would ensure Guerrero's departure after next season, unless the Jays are willing to carry two monster contracts. Now, in this scenario, if the Jays were to sign Juan Soto, then we might not feel as bad about letting Guerrero walk, but point being, the money and the timing of all of this matters. Ultimately, the Toronto Blue Jays and Vladdy are at a serious turning point right now. Unless Toronto gives him a monstrous offer this offseason, then as Keegan Matheson suggested, it just makes sense for Vladdy to go to free agency and to get some wild bidding war going on. In complete transparency, guys, the more that I hear about this situation and as time just continues to tick on, I think that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to hit free agency. I mean, like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they work something out, but it just kind of feels like the writing is on the wall right now. But folks, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Jays go.